Hello, welcome, my fellow operatives. My name is Taft Taylor, and today got a very special episode of the Nemesis Sessions as I am joined by a colleague. I would like to call him a colleague. I never worked with the man himself, but he is known as the Copper Dragon, or AKA the California Kid, a 20-year veteran in the backyard. He likes to review matches on TikTok, Instagram, and such. My friend, how are you today? And welcome to the Nemesis Sessions. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to be here. Excited.
Awesome.
This is awesome.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you're here. Honestly, I'm surprised that I was able to get you on. I know you're a busy man. We're all busy, and that's a good thing, right? For us old heads, we got to stay as busy as we can.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Of course, it's life. That's something that's an important part of it. And, it really plays a key factor in people's activity in backyard wrestling. How life sets in stuff, which we cover. But wow, yeah.
Yes,
Well,
sir. Yes,
coming to be
sir.
on this broadcast.
Well, hey, I'm glad that you're here because this is all things wrestling, and that's what we like to talk about is the wrestling world and everything that it has to do with guys like us who are passionate and are fans of it and love it. So I always like to give everybody kind of an idea of who my guest is, and it'll help me learn more too as well. But why don't you tell everybody that's going to be watching this or that is watching it right now, who is the Copper Dragon or the California Kid? When did you start your career, and how long have you been a fan of wrestling?
Okay, well, wow. I started now, like you. I started with 16 on trampoline. You know what I'm saying? 16 on trampoline, man. Way back when.
Right.
The backyard. As far as me and the game, like that's back like in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? I remember I was listening to you and Dark Cron talk, and you guys were talking about the old VHS days.
Oh,
Fourth
yeah.
Street. Yeah, I'm on the old. I'm on the old guard.
Here,
Yes. Yes,
here's
yes.
some matches I haven't posted on this channel yet, and I'm waiting for my thing to come in soon so that way I can get it all uploaded. Maybe get you to do some review on it.
Yeah, hey, I'm there, man. You get that converter. I'm very familiar with that process. I've done it plenty of times to convert VHS to digital. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Need that apparatus. A lot. If you've been in the game long enough in backyard wrestling, you're gonna like eventually you familiarize yourself with a lot of the new digital mediums. But yeah, I go way back. They called me the California Kid because originally I was just called Kid California when I used to wrestle in San Diego, but when I came to Georgia, and that was when things really kicked off back in like 98, like 97, 98, they
Yep.
started calling me the California Kid, and that just kind of stuck.
Okay.
I started on trampoline. A guy by the name of Dean Royal trained me in the art of backyard wrestling and stuff. Ran some trampoline matches with him at Central High School around that area back in Macon, Georgia. And then we kicked off and we started. See, the funny thing about the way I started off in doing backyard wrestling matches on the high school field. You know,
Oh, snap. Okay.
yeah, back and it was like, man, like we used to do our matches on like a metal platform, like a metal parade platform. We turned into like a sort of makeshift ring.
Yeah.
So we were back then. We were mostly brawlers. We only hit simple spots like suplexes, and a suplex was a big deal back then. I mean, for us,
Oh, yeah.
DDTs, the simple stuff, and then like I said, from there, I wrestled there for a couple of years, and then we kind of evolved to doing backyard at the house. We started DHW Dynamite Hardcore Wrestling, which we transferred over from Central High School, and went from there. We kind of unified with another group called ACW. And that's when Mike Cross and Damian Zadok came in. Some of the old heads might know these guys.
Yeah.
They were really big back in the day. But we started that, and promotions evolved, and eventually started calling ourselves AWS for Allied Wrestling Syndicate. I wrestled through all of that, and I've wrestled a lot of people since then. It's just been a roller coaster. But then I think it was 2006. I kind of started becoming I kind of had to take on more of a producer role with the show
Okay.
because I was a video editor. I was a wrestler, and I was doing like I was doing commentary, And I kind of got into doing a lot of commentary. So you hear me commentate a lot of the matches on GWC and with other promotions we work with, because I got really good at commentary. I really liked it, and kind of got into that too.
You say GWC a lot. I don't mean to cut you off, but do you
Please.
remember a guy by the name of Vega Storm, the kid?
Yeah, yeah.
He was on my podcast about a year ago. So
Oh yeah, I'm there, man. I already saw that one. Yeah, Vega the Kid Storm was.
okay.
Yeah, I was there. I think I was there for his day one when he got started, or I was at least there for his day two. I was there for that one when he got started in backyard. Man, lot of talent there. He mostly did a lot of his training under Mr. Hardcore Chris Higgins, who a lot of people don't give enough credit. A lot of people don't really haven't really heard of Mr. Hardcore Chris Higgins, but he's one of the unsung heroes of backyard wrestling.
Yeah.
That in terms of playing dark characters, there's nobody better than Mr. Hardcore Chris Higgins.
I know.
And but yeah, for me, I mean, yeah, Vega. I know all those guys. I know Xavier Thorne. I've been in the game so long. I either know someone directly that you'll talk about, or I've at least worked with them indirectly in some kind of way. I've been there since it was dirt and sand, man.
Same, and I'm surprised we haven't really crossed paths ourselves,
Yeah,
but we're probably in different states because I'm originally from Texas, and that's where I did all of my
yeah.
old school backyard wrestling. So, real quick, you got a fan in here, and that's the good guy CJ Black, who likes to go off of your rating. And I've been asked to bring this up. He now refers to himself as the 7-star superstar.
I know it's
So
Lord.
can you tell us real quick, because everybody wants to know, how did he, in your eyes, and there's nothing wrong with it, the rating with, I mean, it was great. It's a fun match to watch. It was a little boring in some aspects. I'm gonna piss him off a little bit, but nonetheless, 7-star superstar says hi. What are your honest opinions of good old CJ Black?
Here's the thing about CJ Black. Say what you will about his self-proclamation, his constant self-proclamation, and believe me, I was so invested. I was gritting my teeth when I had to hand out that 7, but it just shows that I grade fairly. Thing is, when I grade matches, like I don't grade them all the same, because there's different mediums in backyard wrestling.
Right.
That for what they're doing, in ROEW, it's they're doing more technical in ring, a lot of transitions, a lot of reversals, and very detailed work in their storytelling. And for that match where he faced Jack Delta, you watch that match, and I went through that match like 3 times looking for a mistake. I was in such disbelief when I got through that match. I was just like, there's no way these two just freaking crisp this thing. So I went through it a couple times, and you'll hear me in the comments. I'm like, oh my God, this guy here. They just pulled off, like, for what they were offering, for what they're presenting. That's what I'm grading on. Like, I'm looking for the slightest of errors, but no, they just sailed through the thing. I mean, it's a piece of artwork to watch. I mean, and then CJ Black, his character work is fantastic. I mean, definitely one of the top most advanced dudes. Not to blow his head up. God, I already did it, Lord.
You already did it, but keep going. You're
But
fine.
but but I really encourage people to study him, because like he's one of the people who gets it. Like, I can watch his work and I know he gets it. He understands the timing, the storytelling. He understands where to do. Just like I've seen you with the cutoffs, just when to cut off, how to keep a match paced.
I
You
noticed
know,
how you put that in, and you called that I'm really good at cutoffs, and that's one thing I love to do is do those cutoffs like that. It's just like you said.
yeah, it's part of the storytelling, having cutoffs. Like, I wrestled matches where I didn't have good timed cutoffs, and it just seemed one sided at certain points, and it ruins the storytelling of the match. And I've learned from those experiences.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and that's the thing. But yeah, man, CJ Black, he's got it down. Him and his boys, they got this thing down.
He's
Uh,
saying, all bullshit aside, everyone has their opinion. I respect them all and appreciate yours. And I ran with it, laughed my ass off.
yeah, and plus, I hope people, like, I hope people look at what he's doing and realize, like, look, even it don't matter what you're doing. If you're doing trampoline, you're doing ground, you're doing, basement death match. I mean, that's, whatever you're doing, try to do it to the best of your ability, because that's your body of work. Don't get lazy with your matches, even if they're just singles matches. Everything is not about championship matches. Everything is not about, I need to go over. It's not always about that. It's about your body of work. And I try to stress that, in my reviews and, when I talk to people, but, like I
like
said,
my match, like my match that I showed you with Max Chaos. I mean, I didn't expect the rating I got. Thank you, but I mean, I was proving a point in that match where I was making it look like he was killing me and beating the crap out of me, even though I came up as the victor. But the point of the match was to make him look as over as he was,
yeah.
or
And,
as
and
I did.
and you executed. Like I said, it's all about you sold when and I encourage people to check that match out. Max Chaos, that was a good match. I mean, I know Max, did he not think it was good? Because I thought it was pretty good for what I see on a regular basis, and I go through a lot of matches on YouTube. I mean, you gotta understand, man. I watch hundreds of backyard wrestling matches. I've seen thousands,
Yeah.
but I mean, for what I see, I mean, I know what's quality when it comes to backyard wrestling, and I know when people are just being, or just like going through the motions of it. I mean, you can see some of the reviews I've done. Some of like, if you and I like I explained, if you are at a 4, that means you've accomplished the presentation side of it. If you reach a 4 on the 7 scale, you've gotten the presentation down. If you can get into the 5s, that means that you guys are actually telling a cohesive story in the ring. If you get into the high 5s, that means that, okay, we got a match. We got a hell of a match here. Oh my goodness. 5.8 is like one of the highest scores I give. Like if that, and I don't think a lot of people understand that when I give someone a 5.8 or a 5.7, that's no easy feat with me. I'm not. I
That's that's good. That's really
Yeah,
good. And I'm glad that you're explaining all that. So keep doing that. You gave me on that one match a 6.27 or something like
yeah.
that. And I was like, nice, okay.
Yeah, there were no, like, I mean, like I said, I'm looking for all kinds of things. I'm looking for what I like to call, a loss of cohesion, when people don't have that chemistry going. I'm looking for botches. I'm looking for like, bad storytelling. I'm looking for recoveries that haven't been given enough time, considering the incapacitation. And that's an important word. I want people to understand incapacitation in a wrestling match, and I've caught AEW on this plenty of times. I
Mhm.
mean, I always at Tony Khan when I catch him doing that, because even though he's booked whatever, they're better than that. I always catch them on that. I catch a couple people on that, but incapacitation is important.
Yeah.
Whatever spot you hit, there's a certain amount of time that is required for recovery, especially if it's flush. You know what I'm saying? If you
Mhm.
hit a Canadian destroyer, I don't care how devastating it looks and everything. Give it its time. I don't care if you bounce back up on your feet. Get Give it some time. Don't We shouldn't see kickouts and stuff after those. Like, foot on the rope. Give me anything. You know,
Right.
give me something. Give me a roll out of the ring. Give me something.
I know. This Parker Teague, hello and welcome. They said, have you rated any KBW matches? I don't know if I'm familiar with KBW.
I have. There early on, before I actually started doing the features with the gold backgrounds and stuff. Like, it's way back in my TikTok history, and I'll do more. I need to do a lot more KBW. I've kind of fallen behind on my KBW reviews. But if you really go back in on my TikTok history, I've done some where I'm just doing like duet style reviews, and I still give the star rating. But yeah, I've done a couple of KBW. I need to do more.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just
And I
send me the
got,
link when I'll try to get it into the rotation.
well, you heard that, Parker. So definitely keep in
Yeah.
touch. And you can find Copper Dragon on Instagram and I believe TikTok as well, for sure. Here's somebody that you might know very well, and that's Mr. Craven Rage.
Oh yeah,
Craven Rage from
big guy.
WCE. He said, hello, Mr. James Taylor, and the man and awesome Copper Dragon. So you've seen some of his matches, I believe, as well.
Yeah, I've gone through a lot of his matches. I remember I have watched him improve so much. like he's definitely one of the best out there right now. Like right there with your Tyler Blacks and your all those kind of guys. He's right there. He's getting
Exactly.
there. What I like is that he has really good working strikes. And his pacing's good. He can execute just about anything he needs to make the match great. Good, great seller. Craven Rage, one of the best sellers out there right now. I mean, if
Oh
you
yeah.
watch his matches, he can sell his ass off. I mean, by God. And the character work. Oh my God, the presentations, the entrances. Like I said, if you, I spoke about Mr. Hardcore Chris Higgins earlier, and I encourage everybody to look him up. But that's kind of what I equate Craven Rage to, is that excellent presentation. Presentation is important too.
Oh yeah, definitely. So let's go back and let's talk about one thing I want to talk about. I know you got a lot of things you kind of want to talk about, and I want to let you just come unglued to say everything that you want to say about backyard wrestling because I'm really interested to hear it, and I want to talk about it with you. But one question I want to know, and I'm sure other people at home would want to know: can you go back and remember your first recorded match and how you felt going to the ring? What did you have the nerves? Did you have the butterflies? Were you camera shy? Because like me, I don't know if you heard me when I said it before, but my very first time, I wrestled like maybe a handful of matches. We jumped on the trampoline, played all around, and then I asked on my 16th birthday for a video camera. I was luckily enough to get one. And when I came out for my entrance for my very first match, I could not help but look at the camera and smile. I just could not get in character. And I was just like all giddy because I was going to be on film and I hated watching myself. But now you've seen how I am recently. I am just all character work. I can go to the ring. I ain't worried about it. I just see that as another pair of eyes watching me. But compared
Then
to
you go
back
in
in the
the zone.
day, so what about you? Can you take us back to your first early match, like one of your first matches recorded, and what was that like for you?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this goes back to, wow, recorded match like that. That's
That you
like,
can remember. I mean, mine was in 2000, my first recorded match. I started my career late 98, most of 99.
I don't know exactly when, but I know the person I was wrestling, and I know the conditions under such match was. My first match was against my good friend Joey Drago.
Okay.
He's a much sadly forgotten backyard wrestler from the day, but you can look him up. Joey Drago and me did a match at Central High School. This was during the Central High School days. And I remember this match was recorded on. We actually used to jack the mass media class cameras to record the backyard wrestling matches. So yes, we were rogues. But this match was a one-on-one on a grass, on a hard ground. Like it used to be a cement cover, and I guess they just threw some dirt over it or something. And they put like some fake grass. So we had a match on this thing. And the one thing I remember about this match, I took my first vertical suplex,
Oh man.
and I did not take it right. No, it seemed so easy when I jumped and got hoisted up, but I didn't post it. And let's just say that my shoulder ate a lot of this plex, and it was I
Yeah.
carried on. I mean, we got through it, but I
Yeah.
took my first suplex and my first DDT in that match. After taking the DDT, I totally forgot what we had planned during the match, and, and
Yeah.
and we had to improvise. We had to improvise the rest of it. Joey just puts me in a front face lock on the ground, starts rolling me around, and he has to get me up. And then we hit like 3 suplexes in the match. That was not the last one. We hit 3, and I learned really
Hey.
quickly how to take that bump because that first one did not feel great.
Dude, I
I,
know all about that. I
I
remember my
was
first.
wearing I was wearing black jeans during this match and a black polo shirt with a white stripe across it. And this was like knitted stuff. Like it was thick. Like I was wearing like I think I was wearing like some black like FUBUs or something. I don't even remember. It was crazy.
So
That was
was it on the ground?
Yeah, it was on the
So
ground.
your first match was on the ground. Mine was on the
Yeah.
trampoline. So
Mine was on the ground. I was first trained on trampoline, but mine was on the ground.
Yeah.
from what I remember. Yeah, that was the ground match with Joey Drago. That was the first
Yeah.
recorded match. Yeah, because
So
I come from a time we used to do backyard wrestling. It wasn't even recorded. It was just something we did it for fun. We used to
same.
beat up each other for fun. I I tell you that does relate to something I'll get into too. Is like you've heard me talk about New Old Testament, New Testament backyard wrestlers. It's just two different
Yes.
beliefs. For me and you, I can tell we come from the Old Testament look of things.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Old Testament, and that's something a lot of guys need to understand about backyard wrestling. Most of the guys out today are under New Testament, which that derives from what's presented, from the pros, what they're putting out. I think what started the New Testament was a lot of the Ring of Honor stuff, and then the Jersey All Pro and the way that they watched them work in TNA. Back in the day, I think that really, and of course the independent boom. That really brought about a
Yeah.
lot of the more a focus on technique, a focus on proper form kind
Yeah.
of came about. It's kind of like a renaissance of sorts,
Mhm.
and for us Old Testament guys, we come from the Mick Foley school, man. We come from sacrifice. We're it's a spiritual ritual to us, backyard wrestling. That's why when you watch matches in my library, when you watch a California Kid match, it's gonna be a brutal, like, bodily destruction derby. Like, and everybody goes into a match with me knows, like, I'm not, we're gonna go out there, we're gonna exchange like the stiffest forearms, we're gonna hit like all these Japanese maneuvers, we're gonna go for all kinds of stuff. And yes, I don't hate the New Testament. I love New Testament. I actually, my later matches became very much technique driven, but I love toughness. That's one thing that I think you can't have backyard wrestling without is toughness. You got to
Exactly.
have toughness. You got to have that heart, man, because your matches, there are the few that can go out and finesse their way through backyard wrestling matches. There are the talented that can thigh tap without us seeing it. There are the talented that can hit, spinning arm drags into standing switch transitions. God help me. There are people that are really good and can dance with guys like me and still make it look amazing without having to really, take, you know, freaking roundhouses and stuff like that. But I'm old school. I'm going out there and I'm having the Kabashi match. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, man. I remember a while back, I'm trying to find the post real quick. I posted a clip on my Instagram because TikTok is so touchy. You can't post stuff like that. So I did it on Instagram where I showed an old backyard wrestling match of
Yeah.
mine. And I said, here we go. Backyard wrestling was on a different level in the early 2000s. The yarders now just don't compare, just my opinion. And you went on and commented, you said it was a far more passionate fan culture during that era, a totally different time. Backyard wrestling was all about sacrifice back then. The guys and gals who did it back then had no regard for safe working because that was not
Nope.
what the practice was about. Back then, we abided by the Old Testament, the back exactly what you're saying right now. And you go, did you ever? I have that match on my thing if you ever get bored to watch it, but it's me
Yeah.
versus Phoenix, one of my best friends. He was like a brother to me, and that match was August 2004, super hot. But that little metal part was on top of a camper where we were doing all those big spots like the suplex and the big bump and everything. I mean, it was on a freaking camper, and then we were doing everything else on the ground, straight flat back bumps on the ground. You know all about it. The DDTs. He
Yeah.
gave me a tilt-a-whirl leg scissors. He placed a broken windshield to a F-150 1984 truck, put it on me, and did a front bump on me, and I still got the scar barely on my wrist from it. But if you watch the match, I'm bleeding like a pig from my wrist. I get hit with the like three light bulbs. And then I'm finishing it off with the right hands, hit him with the stunner, but then he gives me a super kick, pins me 1, 2, 3. It was an amazing story. It's my favorite match in my career still to this day. Even though I lost, it was still my personal favorite match.
I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch that. I think
I'll send you the link.
please, please.
And you know what? When you get time, would you rate that as a backyard, old school backyard level?
You got it.
Hell yeah, hell
You
yeah.
got it.
I
I got
promise you'll like it.
I got you. Just send it to me. I got you.
I get awesome, awesome. Real quick before we get into what else you're wanting to do, but Mr. Craven Ray said, I would like to say thank you, Mr. Taylor, for your advice, and thank you, Mr. Dragon. I appreciate everything you do, and all your feedback.
Oh man, that's what we're here for, man. I say, like I
I
said.
You've been helping him with the matches and showing it and talking about that, and you've seen him. You said it. You've seen him getting better and better. I've been helping him on the promo side because I'm a promo guy. I'm all about promos, and I don't know if you've seen any of my promos, but I'm a big promo guy. And I've been helping him with his character development a little bit. He's been working and tweaking it some.
Yeah,
uh,
he's a sponge, man. He's getting it, you know.
he is. Omen Black. He's saying, "Evening Dragon. Do you know about the Boogeyman of the Midwest?"
Oh my God! Now, Omen Black, my heart goes out to that guy because he fought tooth and nail to get a 6 from me. I think I reviewed like 3 of his matches. I think one of them I actually was very close to going above a 6 on. That was that cage match. I love that cage match with Dark. I love that. I love that at DKW. I think it was. Yeah, that was a good match. But yeah, I was only too happy to score his matches. I always enjoy a good Omen Black match. I just think my main critique with him has always been that during the storytelling of his matches, I think I used to critique saying he's giving too much. He is one menacing man. I want to see viciousness out there. And but Omen Black though, like if I'm not mistaken, his signature weapon of choice is a flat screen. I
Oh,
have
I know.
That is the most amazing and unique backyard wrestling signature weapon I've ever heard of. I mean, you've got your specially painted gold, whatever color chairs that people use. You got specially done canes, or people come up with like different household items to use as their signature weapon. But a flat screen,
I
that's
know.
level, man. That's up there.
That's something you don't really see, actually, hardly ever. I think I've maybe seen one TV in a backyard match some time ago, but yeah, I've seen at least 3 or 4 different matches of Omen Black, and there's a TV involved somehow. And I'm like, geez.
Where is he getting it? I'm just like,
What? I mean, he must got some money, unless these are some old TVs that he just came across.
I'm always fascinated at how these guys come up with this stuff. Like one of the groups in GWC, the Mid GA MGBYW, they always had crutches in their matches. They were a deathmatch group. They always had crutches in their match. I'm like, where are you getting all these crutches? They break them every match. I'm like, who works at a medical supply store? Like, where do
Yeah,
you
where
get?
the hell they get that shit, man?
Yeah, I don't know. It just amazes me sometimes where these people get this stuff. That's the joy of backyard wrestling.
CJ Black saying, "Shut up, Omen." 7-star and above to comment. And then Omen decided to say, "CJ, aren't you concerned how your owner is foundation still? Oops." And then, "Thank you for the advice, brother. I appreciate it." So,
Oh yeah, always, man. Like I said, I look forward to viewing more of their stuff. And that's like I said, it's just I'm glad I try to be at least make some effort to kind of be a unifying presence in the groups. I try to I think backyard wrestling does need a lot more unity, and I do reviews just to kind of help people improve their productions and their presentations and stuff. And there have been a lot of groups that have tried to unify backyard wrestling. That was something I want to talk about too. I've
oh,
been around long enough to have seen all of them, and I'm going to name them just because I think they need to be named. One of the groups that everybody probably does know is the GBYWN. The started by Cam and Rad Hazard ran it for a while. There was on Facebook now. You got your TWA, your Tidewater group. You got your Backyard Wrestling Grand Prix. That a lot of us know about that one. Now I remember Frank Blankenship was trying to start the USBWA, and Frank Blankenship had tried a couple of different times to start a backyard wrestling unification, kind of league or something like that. And way back when, way back when, like this was the early 2000s, there was a young lady named Claudette who started the WBYW, the World Backyard Wrestling,
Oh,
worldwide.
wow.
This was before YouTube. Like YouTube didn't start till like 2005, something like that. Like
Yeah.
we used to record our matches and post them on a site called MPEG Nation, and
Okay.
and you used to have to put the link on these sites, on these like backyard wrestling sites, to get people to watch it. And it wasn't like there is now. Like you have to click the link and go to another page that would open up the actual video player. But
Hmm.
yeah, there was her group, there was the MBYWA, there was the BYWN, of course, and BYW versus the World that Rad started. And of course, recently I was trying my best to help Jeremy Letts start his Digital Wrestling Alliance.
Oh,
um,
wow.
I kind of got busy and I got laid off from my job and had a couple things go on in my life that I had to kind of work around. So I wasn't able to really jump on that as much as I would have liked. But if anybody in backyard wrestling wants to try to unify, we'll talk about it down the road, because I want to try to help Jeremy try to start that, because he had a good vision. I think he meant well, but I told him there's been so many backyard wrestling unifying groups that have tried and failed to do this. Because here's the thing: if you're going to try to be the commissioner of a multi-promotional backyard wrestling, circuit, you have to keep up with everyone. You have to watch everybody's work. And that's the thing, that's where everybody kind of feels short, because then again, it's not the fact that they don't have the passion to do that, it's just the time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and I always tell people, I'll get into the talks of people. We don't talk enough about the finances of backyard wrestling. We don't
Oh,
talk enough about the business of backyard wrestling. It desperately needs, like, the people who participate to be a brotherhood, because I don't think we see ourselves as we should. Like, we're a fan subculture, but we're the highest level of the fan subculture. Like, we're the highest level wrestling fan there is. Like, because
yes.
we not only watch as much as the hardcore, as they'll say, the hardcore marks, but we're not only hardcore marks. We ritualistically go out into our backyards, build arenas, and actually, like, conduct ourselves as. I mean,
All day, man. Yeah.
there's no higher level than this. There is no higher level than this. We are more than just individual fans. We are culture, and I think that a lot of people who set out to do this backyard thing need to understand what exactly they're getting themselves into. This is not just this is a lifestyle, not a hobby. And we used to say that in GWC. This isn't
Same.
just, this is real, man. And
I I saw it as therapeutic, in a way, because I could have the shittiest day at school or shittiest day at work or whatever it was that I was going with at the time. I'd go outside on the weekend. We'd have a match. Hey guys, we're gonna have a match tonight. All right, great. We go out there and have a match. I'm getting all my frustrations out, whether it be taking a bump on the ground, taking a chair shot, or giving one.
yeah.
I felt like $1 million afterward.
I think, and for me, in my experience, I've found that backyard wrestling has saved lives at times. There are a lot of guys I knew who had addiction issues, who had all kinds of problems, and getting together on the weekend and then being forced to train because they want their stuff to look good kind of got them out of the habit, and they started preparing to be with us on the weekends instead of being out doing whatever they're doing. It saved lives. It's forced people, because I've had a friend of mine, really good friend of mine, who got on meth, and he tried to do a match, and it came out looking horrible, and he felt so bad afterwards, because he just wasn't there, that
Yeah.
he cleaned himself up, because it was embarrassing. You know what I mean? Like, this is your work. You know what I mean? This is your backyard wrestling testimony. You know what I mean? This is your stuff. I mean, what does that say about you if your matches look like that?
I guess the addiction is what overtook him, and
Yeah.
that could be sad. CJ Blake wants to say, "Wait, are you from Michigan?"
Oh, no, no, no. I'm not from Michigan. I converse with a lot of people from Michigan, but no, no. I'm originally from San Diego, California, and I spent 15 years in Georgia, through Atlanta and all that, and all the southern states, and then I came back to San Diego. and I'm currently in San Diego now. I live out the West Coast now.
Heck yeah, I've been out that way, but that was back in like 20 what was it? It was 2017.
Oh,
I was there was a time in my life where for about 7 8 months I was traveling all the West Coast doing magazine subscriptions and going door to door sales. So I've been through San Diego. I've been through LA, and it wasn't a fun ride, but I'll tell you that much. But I got to travel up and down the road a little bit.
it's expensive too.
Yes, very. Joshua Allen, I know that you know him from TBW, says, "Evening, guys. Wrestling is an escape."
Yes, yes, it is. It's the highest form of escapism too. It is truly escapism. Joshua Allen, good to see you, man. One of my favorite interviews you've had, actually.
It was mine, yeah. I haven't got to talk to Joshua a lot lately, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people liked it whenever me and him would talk. He's kind of like I love when he would call my matches because he brought you can't have a really good wrestling match without some really good commentary. You know what I mean?
That is so true. That
And
that
back in the day, we didn't really have a whole lot of commentary. It's usually the guy behind the camera commentating and he's doing a crap job. I know what that's like. Yeah, I've done it
I
too.
had to call. I've had to score on that too. Just the fact that, yeah, I mean, the one thing that people in backyard seem to understand is if you take on the role of being the commentator, or the person, even if you are doing the commentary from behind the camera, which I've done plenty of times, I tell you, like, it's all on you. What you capture on the LCD is what the audience is going to see. And yes, I just rhymed there, but yes. But it's important to know that, because what you're saying, your job is to sell the match. Your job is to get people excited about what they're seeing. And that's, Joshua Allen understands this too. Like, I love his passion when I listen to him commentate. The passion is important, but also just taking care of your team. Like, you don't expose botches on commentary. You don't just like call out nonsensical things on commentary. And yeah, in my first 2 years of commentary, I was guilty of. We're all guilty of it, but we have to get better. We have to be better. So I,
Bring that emotion, bring that emotion to it. That's what makes it great.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
definitely. Emotion's important. Um,
CJ saying 100% Josh Allen is my favorite commentator, even over the shitty ROEW one. Screw any haters. That's a little harsh, don't you think, Black, on your product? And then Parker says, "Yes, bro, my backyard company, nobody took it seriously, and we just stopped wrestling. Now there has been some talk about coming back this summer. Let's hope it goes better. Wrestling is an escape. When I'm in a match, I don't think of nothing but the match, no matter what's going on that day."
and that's it's true, but that means he takes it serious. That means he really is passionate about it. And I've seen so many backyard wrestling promotions fold. I've seen more than some people could ever claim to have known. I've watched. I mean, in GWC alone, in Georgia Wrestling Circuit alone, we've had tons of promotions start up and last maybe a couple of years, and then they just fold. Because either people prioritized other things more so than they did. And one of the big destroyers of backyard wrestling promotions is what I was talking about, the dichotomy and the spiritual conflict between the New Testament and Old Testament. You got a lot of guys in there that
Let's
are,
talk about that.
yeah.
Let's talk about that. That's really a big thing. And I'm glad that you put it into those words because I couldn't even think of the words to put it in. But I'm an old school guy. You're an old school guy. You declaring it as Old Testament is where we're from compared to the New Testament of what the new backyard wrestlers are. Let's talk about that. Just talk about it. Yeah.
it's all it's all about the values, but I think, with the New Testament focusing more on technique and looking more like proper form, more, like more better, in-ring storytelling, yes, and more, but they're focused on technique and more intricate spots, and they're more, and with that, what the pro wrestling world has brought into backyard wrestling is a focus more on safety. Now here's where things get a little controversial. Here's where Old Testament and New Testament can't seem to come together. Old Testament backyard wrestlers aren't so concerned about our safety. We do
Well,
protect each other,
of
but
course.
we protect ourselves. There's more of a emphasis on protecting ourselves.
It's kind of selfish in a way, but not too much.
No, yeah, it is an air of selfishness, but in the best way. Because here's the thing: we train ourselves to endure. We train ourselves to take more, and we're not so much focused on if we get potatoed or whatever out there. That's a good thing to us because it looks good. It
Yep.
looks real. It looks real. And this is not to take away from the wonders that has been brought by New Testament wrestling. Safety is good. Safety,
Yeah.
especially the rise of insurance policies and things like that in the current state of the economy. I'm
Yeah.
not against New Testament. I think it works. I think it works well for where we are. But the problem is that yes, it when you start a backyard wrestling promotion, even if everybody starts under the same philosophy, people oftentimes get pulled away, and that comes down to New Testament is the ultimate vehicle for those wanting to transition to the independent circuit. Now,
Yeah.
here's the problem with that. Like in GWC had this go on several times. It caused the collapse of GWC on 4 different occasions.
Damn.
Yeah, this is over the course of 20 years. Now, people get into it, and people, while they're backyard wrestling, they'll start, kind of venturing, people talk to people. GWC was well integrated into the independent scene in Georgia. We were well associated with a lot of the pro wrestlers. But what happens is the philosophies seep into the backyard, and people start feeling like they are better than everyone else because they can work better. But see, here's the thing: a good brawl, a well orchestrated brawl that still tells a story. Even if someone gets their nose broken, if it's stiffed out and people are chopping and beating each other most of the match, if it's done right, it can still get over. Ground backyard wrestling can still get over. Trampoline backyard wrestling can still get over. Just watch the old BACW matches from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It still can get over. I mean, the I used to be amazed when I used to see like, for instance, I'll make a reference here. I used to be amazed when I used to watch matches by Damian Saint, who wrestled for the RWA and UWC, their Deadly Alliance show. But he used to do trampoline matches,
Yeah.
and they were really good. They're still on par and entertaining and tell a good story. That doesn't, just because you do a certain type of backyard wrestling doesn't mean that you take a stance of elitism against someone who does deathmatch. If you
Right.
do ring wrestling, but someone does ground backyard wrestling and busting light tubes and using barbed wire, well, that's an art. That's a part of backyard wrestling. That's its own. That's an art form in backyard wrestling, and
Mhm.
people like just like some of the DKW matches, they do it. Some people do hardcore very well. It should be appreciated as its own form within the art. You know what I mean? But yet the problem we had in GWC was we had people who valued technique so much that they refused and saw it more. See, they kind of got into that. The pros started seeping that philosophy, and that's trash backyard wrestling. That's trash wrestling. It's
Yeah.
crap. Again, for us Old Testament guys, that's the sacrifice mentality. That is quality to me.
Yeah.
Deathmatch wrestling is one of the most difficult forms of backyard wrestling, not because of the violence, not because of the barbed wire slitting your skin, not because of the light tubes and the mercury getting into your eyes, not all that. No, no, no. Deathmatch wrestling is the most difficult type of backyard wrestling because you're not wrestling against the how good you are, how good the other guys are. You're not wrestling against your place on the card like you do on the indies. You're not wrestling for more money. You're not wrestling for any of that. You're wrestling against all reason not to do it. You're wrestling against all sensibility, and that to me is his form of fan love. That for me is the
Mhm.
highest point of dedication and devotion to backyard wrestling there is. Anybody who death matches should be appreciated far more than they are,
Of
because
course.
that some people think it's crazy, and you'll hear people call it stupid. And I think I think a lot of the press from the early 2000s when they put out the original Backyard Wrestling VHSs really fueled the fire of seeing it more as like a stunt. But it's not a stunt. Even with that dangerous spot those guys hit off the top of the house, the famous scene where they come down and you hear them screaming in
Oh
agony.
yeah, yeah,
God,
yeah.
people, you see everybody sitting there like ridiculing them for even doing that. But why ridicule and not like appreciate what they were willing to do for an audience they don't even know?
They're
I mean,
doing it for entertainment. They're entertaining the people watching them.
there's not enough appreciation for the entertainment value. There's not enough love for it. Yes, there is a limit. There is a place where it becomes more like jackass stuntry, and stuff like that, where it's not. But to me, I think that I don't believe in ridiculing or trashing anything anyone's presenting if they're presenting it with the absolute utmost passion in what they believe in. I will never trash someone who goes out and takes a light tube and carves someone's head like a Baroque painting. I will never sit there and ridicule that. I will see it as for what it is. It's their expression. It's their backyard wrestling. And if you're a technical wrestler that's come over for an interpromotional match to a death match promotion, they will work with you. Just tell them what you can take and what you can't take, and
Yep.
make the best of it and go out there. And I swear to you, you are doing a service to the culture. You go out there, you're helping them. You're going out there executing techniques. You're covering up their flaws. They're covering up your lack of toughness. We can help each other in backyard wrestling. Old Testament, New Testament can coexist if we see it, if we all come together as a culture and see it, both forms for what they are. Like the same goes for the deathmatch guys or the hardcore, the more regular hardcore promotions or whatever you're doing. See the guys in the New Testament who are doing technical work, who are doing more of that. See the art in it. That is wrestling. That is really wrestling. You can't. It's not soft. It's a very complex and difficult execution of transitions and trying to keep your footing and landing and rolling over someone's back into an arm drag is difficult. I've done it. Leg
Yeah,
sweeping, hitting a leg sweep, hitting a drop down, shooting someone off. That's important too. It's all important, guys.
it's
There's
all
nothing
important.
that when it's done with the utmost seriousness and passion, it's all important. It's all the same. It's all on the same level. It's all backyard wrestling, and
It,
that's something that I could never get GWC to see. That's something I could never get us together on, only on certain occasions. And one of the best examples I recommend people look up a match between Dees and Tony James. There's a match between Eric Dees and Tony James on GWC Intensity, and everybody's free to look it up what they want, but
yeah.
it's one of the best examples of backyard wrestling coming together. Eric Dees was a deathmatch wrestler before he became an independent wrestler, but he was a backyard wrestler. He was a deathmatch wrestler. And Tony James was a backyard wrestler, but he was more technical wrestler. He's more an actual traditional wrestler. He also went independent, but they came together in this match with their two different techniques and made it work. And that's what I love to see. I
I
love.
remember I remember Vega telling me some stuff about that. And speaking of which, Vega is here. Vega Storm to Cali. I see you, bro. GWC for
Oh,
life.
yes, indeed. All
So,
the way, man. GMC for
oh,
life for real. Yeah, man. You'll hear a lot of the GWC guys like we're a lot. So a lot of GWC guys are lifers. Like that's the thing. The Georgia wrestling circuit, a lot of us are straight lifers of the game. You know, I was in it for over 20 years, so it's madness, down there. I mean,
that's awesome.
yeah,
We need to get Vega back on here one day, or get you and Vega in here, and y'all just talk about the times, man. That'd be great.
I'm down.
I
I'm
can only imagine what that would have been like to have been there. See, I was in Texas doing my own thing. It wasn't a big corporation. It was just a backyard company with me and like eight other guys that we brought together. We called it TWF, and that stood for Teen Wrestling Federation. Until we were like, let's just call it Texas Wrestling Federation. I'm sure there's a real one, but this is before YouTube. We couldn't just look online and find these things because I had crap internet and I came from nothing. I was just going out there to do what I love to do, just like you, just like everybody else that does it.
and speaking of which, I want to also just talk about presentation, like online, like. The one thing I'm going to tell everybody, and this is where you get some nuggets of advice from me. Now, here's the thing. I know that a lot of I'd almost say nowadays it's about 65, 70% of backyard wrestling promotions like to post full shows. Like the entire card in one video. I know they like to do that. It's fine if you're willing to go through and post them all as individual matches afterwards, because here's the problem: when you post all the matches on one card, on one video, like, yes, it's an event, you see it as a pay-per-view, I get it. I've never been for it. I've feuded with other editors in GWC about it, because when I talk about body of work, when you go on YouTube and I just want to see, if I just want to see a if I just want to see a Soldier GP match, and IMF doesn't post all their matches individually like they do if they just posted like full shows, which they don't. But if I was looking for a Soldier GP match, a specific match that I was recommended to me, and I went on YouTube and I searched for it, it ain't gonna come up. It's
Yeah.
it's in a grouping of six other matches on a single video that's not even properly titled or tagged properly, and you can't find it.
That's why I've been trying to take my matches individually and do my own shtick for it for my YouTube channel so people could just find my matches that way. But I like that you say that, because IMF, in a way, they're doing full shows mostly now, but a lot of their content is literally just single matches, just
Yeah,
matches that are on there, and that way you can find it. That is very smart, and that is a good way to put a whole
I
thing together.
like that. I love it when they do that. I'm okay with posting the full show because, yeah, I mean, sometimes if I'm gonna do a full card, if someone if WCE wanted me to do a full card, I will sit there and watch the entire video. I don't have a problem with that. But if I'm only doing if I'm looking for a specific match that someone tagged me in, or if someone sends me a link to a match they want scored, and they send me the entire card, I now have to try to rip that entire hour and 30-minute video, then rip the match out of the video when I get it into my edit program. Then I have to go ahead, then I have to go through and do the review and the analysis. It takes time. It takes a lot of time, and those are the matches I often push back. So when people complain like, oh, when are you going to get to my match? When you get the match? It's because I have to cut it out.
Yeah.
I have
There's
to.
a lot. There's a lot of work when it goes into it. Rage wanted to ask you a question from Mr. Dragon. What is better, do you think, to do commentary behind the camera or in post editing commentary? Since we WCE adds replays.
For me, it's a lot easier to do commentary after the fact. I did it for years on camera. It's fun when you actually have the table set up and the mics and everything, and you have the camera and you have the wireless labs and stuff hooked into the camera. That makes it easier. But for me, I like to do it post production now, especially later in my career, because when you do the commentary post production, you can pretty much audio edit out any flubs, and you can edit in any kind of add spots or whatever you need to put in. And I like that a lot more. I used to be all for doing it behind the camera because we can call the action on the fly. But yeah, no, I like doing it after the fact nowadays.
Sweet. WCE says our favorite match reviewer.
Thank you. Thank you.
um, Yeah, they love it. So they love you, man. And Vegas Star says I'm always down to join anytime. WZW Animations. I don't know, but hello.
Yep.
They said the Copper Dragon. Do you know these guys?
Yeah. I think I reviewed a WZW match back in the day. If I haven't, please send me a link. But I remember I probably did at some point, maybe earlier on.
Nice. James
Probably.
Marshall. I think he's from WCE. He
Yeah.
says, my man.
James.
Parker IMF, big fan of Felix Jones.
Oh yeah.
Okay. ROEW says we try to make the full show something special and put them out like quarterly pay-per-views.
That's good.
So
I think it's fine. Like I said, to do the full shows, but again, just try at some point to split up the matches so that they're available, so that people can keep their body of work. Like in GWC, like I said, we did all the matches individually. We do have some full shows on there, but we did all the matches individually so that people can have access to their bodies of work. Like everybody, like GWC has probably had well over a few thousand people participate over the 20 years we've had. I mean, all those people need access to their matches. I mean, I've seen people that it's easier for them to rip their stuff than for all these people to be trying to rip down an hour-long match. You know what I mean?
mhm.
But yeah, no, I think quarterly is fine. I think quarterly is good. Don't go WWE and try to do one every month. It gets monotonous.
It does. Yes, it does, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So we were talking Old Testament, and now there's the New Testament. I don't know about you. It's gonna lead to a couple of questions, and I'm gonna put you on the spot probably. But I've wrestled in more of the new, in a lot of the new type of wrestling, mostly with TBW and everything. So I see how the New Testament that you like to put is because a lot of new backyard wrestling, going off of what you said with they can see everything on YouTube, they see the independent circuit and how it's booming and all this stuff, and they're all about trying to get their spots in instead of just going out there to do it and have fun. The biggest thing that I see with that, and that this is what aggravated me, and I'm sorry TBW, but this is what aggravates me about it, is politics.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not. When you get an old school guy like me, maybe even you, we're not out there making money. We're out there to entertain, but you want to bring politics into something and saying this is how it's got to be when you get a guy who's very passionate, goes out there, gives 110%. I'm not even getting paid. Spending 3.5 hours on the road, you could spend more. I've heard guys spend 8 hours. I've heard guys flying to other states to wrestle and not really getting paid. And they're going out there to do their thing, but it's what I hate about it. This is just me. Maybe I'm overstepping, but it seems like there's a lot of favoritism in backyard wrestling now compared to back in the day where everybody had a fair shot. What's your take on it?
Here's the thing. Um, we've all done like this goes back to what I was discussing about the finances of backyard wrestling. We can talk about politics too, but let me start by talking about the finances of backyard wrestling. Okay.
Yes.
There is the politics comes in when you start building things like when people start becoming more concerned about their place on the card, their how much they're presented, how they're presented, if they're going over more often than not. Politics comes in with storylines. Politics comes in with people when you start including money in backyard wrestling. When money comes into backyard wrestling, it should only come in for one reason, and it's not necessarily dues, but it is kind of in that way needed, because here's the problem: when money comes to backyard wrestling, it needs to go to a fund. And I'm actually soon to get my securities license, so I plan to help a lot of backyard wrestlers with this problem. But I'm going to tell you that backyard wrestling needs to start investing in actual dividend index funds so that we can fund getting a ring, fund people's travel. Because yes, I have done the road trips that have been 4 to 8 hours. I've done it so many times. I've traveled to different promotions all over the southern states. We've wrestled a lot of different places. We've gone there, we come back, we see there are different locker room cultures, especially the New Testament ones. You get a lot of guys who, and it's also the personalities and maturity issue, that come up. You get a lot of guys that you get that pro culture thing going on where there's a lot of gossip. And guys like me, we like keep
Keep
it.
keep talking. I'm stepping aside for just a second. Keep talking.
Yeah, yeah. But guys like me like to keep it simple. For those of you listening, um, I like to keep things, simple and let's go. Let's put together a card. Let's agree on what we need to do. Let's agree on what's best for the show, and that's where a lot of the debate comes in. But it's going to come, And I wanted everyone to know that. I mean, start thinking about how you want to conduct your backyard wrestling promotions. Start thinking about how you want to, fund things. Because right now, considering the way the economy is, guys, the price of a ring right now. Has anyone seen the price of a wrestling ring right now? It's you guys are looking at. I mean, the most affordable I've seen that's not secondhand is about $4,500. I mean, who's got $4,500 out there? And I can't and like I said, it's just with that's coming from the most affordable option. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, Monster Rings will sell you a ring for $4,500 if you want a full size. If you want a low boy, it's going to be like 3,600. I've
Is that going to be like a 16 by 16 or even smaller?
16 by 16. If
16 by
you go,
16.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 16 by 16. The standard 16 by 16 is like if it's a low boy, it's going to be 3,600. But if you
Yeah.
go if you go with the with like the full size, it's going to be like 4,500. But if you include tax and everything, you might as well say you need $5,000 because you need
Yeah.
because you're going to have to buy the apron, and that's going to be the thing. You're going to need that apron. Um, but yeah, I mean, considering the price of things right now, we do need to start as backyard wrestling groups. If you started a promotion, go ahead and open a dividend index fund and have everybody contribute whatever they can. Like even if you have a flat rate, everybody put in $10 every month. If you love what you're doing so much, contribute financially to it because
Yeah.
that says a lot about how much you love it, and that way it can grow while you guys are doing matches on the ground of the trampoline. If you guys do a 3-year stint, you've made some money.
Mhm.
You've then made some money, you know what I mean, and the money has accumulated and compounded, and you guys may have the few $1,000s you need to buy that ring, you know what I mean. uh,
Yeah, and I remember TBW had a makeshift ring for a while when I went there, but then they transitioned and got themselves a ring. But it was a used ring, and that's the ring they're using now. But it's a lot better than the makeshift one. That's the one where I took, which by the way, I took the backflip over the top rope, and you're like, I don't see many people do that, especially in the backyard. What did you think of that? Actually, yeah, I love that. To me, that's like a ride. It's like a roller coaster ride. It's fun as hell to do.
Here's the thing. When I said like, here's the problem. People like I've watched a lot of, and you've seen pro wrestling matches. You've seen a lot of the televised stuff. You've seen a lot of the indie stuff. There are so many people that they don't talk about this stuff. There's so many people that are afraid to do what you did out there.
Yeah,
Like when taking clothesline and getting clothesline on the top rope, you can watch the Royal Rumble. You can watch any year of the Royal Rumble. There's always a few. There's always a handful of people who are scared to take that bump. You know,
yeah.
scared to take that landing, even if it's ridiculous because I mean you're just throwing yourself over the top rope, and if you control your fall, you'll be fine. I mean, I
That's
don't.
all. All I do is I hook. I'm dominant with my right arm. I'm hooking, and I said, clothesline me. Put just give me the force because my momentum's going to go, and I've got control of my body and how I'm going to take that bump. And 99% of the time, I'm going to land on my feet, and then I just sell it. That's it. It's simple and
I,
it's fun.
there are far worse and more terrifying things in wrestling than going over the top rope. I don't know why everybody thinks they're going to break their neck or something going over the top rope. I don't
Mhm.
get it. It's like the most you're going to fall. I mean, the ring is already 4 feet off the ground. The most you're going to fall with the ropes and everything, you're just falling like what, like 6 feet, like maybe 6, 7 feet, no, 8 feet if you're on a full size. So, but I mean, it's not that bad, guys. It's a
No,
controlled fall.
it ain't that bad.
Practice
Just
crash mats.
Vegas Storm says, just let me know when you're free, Taylor. I'm down to join the podcast again with one of my mentors. And he said T3 versus Vegas Storm with special guest referee, the California Kid.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Man.
that's another unsung hero of backyard wrestling is T3, the King T3. Definitely one of the few I would consider to be a definite legend in the game. T3 is an old head like me, and
Yeah.
a lot of the guys. There's a lot of unsung heroes in backyard wrestling that from a brief. And this is something I want to talk about. We need to start knowing the names of the people who really formed backyard wrestling. That like there are a lot of guys from the primordial age that we like. I know some of you have to have heard of Josh Prohibition. We don't talk about him. Like the we don't talk about Josh Prohibition. We don't talk enough about M Dog 20. Like there's Nightmare, there's Chaos and Carnage, Cordell, all those guys from the VHS days,
Oh,
ICP.
yeah.
Uh, you know,
ICP, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like
I know a few of them myself, but it's the older guys. We don't get the credit, but if you really think about it, we helped pave the way, you know,
yeah.
from the
Just
90s and early
Tommy
2000s.
Malice. Nobody talks about Tommy Malice from the California backyard wrestling motions. Like he was famous. I mean, there's Chad Maverick, Sean Matthews. Danny Danger. There's Rad Hazard.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, you guys should. I'm going to call these names out because everybody needs to know these names. Chris Cryptic, Swede and Miniac Savard, like Rays, Sir William Black, Angelo and Nelson Torres from New York, NSW Diddy Man. Like we don't talk.
Okay.
David Potter, Mr. Dumpling and Frizza. We don't.
Uh,
I mean, I called out the suicidal all star Mike Cross, Fred, the resurrector of wrestling, Fred Yehi. You know, C.J. Lennon, Ryan North. You know, all these guys that really the Melvin Bell, who I'm going to be doing a video about, and of course some of you know Skrilla. You know, like I mean, these are people that really have been like the big time players in backyard wrestling. You
yeah.
know, I think you need to know these names. You know, everybody from your
Do your
onion,
homework.
yeah, from your Onion Jacks to your Joey Japans. I mean, you got to know these guys. The Quiz, these are wrestlers, and I know we're so caught up in our own work and we're so caught up in our own promotions that we don't take time to really get on YouTube and just go through these things. You know,
Mhm.
and I know a lot of these guys are like in like random highlight videos and stuff, but just take some time. I always tell people if you're really about the backyard wrestling life, if you really want to be a part of the life, like get to know the players, man. Because some
Yeah.
of the guys are still around and they deserve their flowers, man. They put a lot out for the game.
I would consider them, backyard legends,
Yeah.
in their own right. I mean, just because that's just how it was, and that's just it's really like a whole different world now, compared to what it used to be. It was just pure passion back then. I feel like the passion is there, but not as much as what it used to be with us.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Sadly.
like I said, I one of my greatest achievements as a backyard wrestler was getting to meet Mick Foley and have him review GWC, have him look at some of our stuff, and he absolutely loved it. And
Sweet.
that for me was the peak of my backyard wrestling career is meeting Mick Foley in Savannah. And this was and the funny thing, this was at the I was actually a production consultant for the Peanut Butter Falcon film that came out, you know.
Oh,
And yeah, because we GWC provided the ring they used in the film, you know. But yeah, so I met Jake
that's
the Snake,
awesome.
a few of those guys, and they got to see what we do, you know. And
Send me
that
the. Is there a way that you can send me a link to that to where I can see that, check that out?
yeah, I have I have videos of the director and everything. Some of it's on TikTok, but I have some. I'll send you some stuff. Yeah,
Heck yeah.
yeah. We did the Peanut Butter Falcon. It was a good movie, you know. And Skrilla has a cameo in it. Skrilla and Tony James, the Baron of Brutality, Tony James. He has they have cameos in it, you know. So
Oh wow.
yeah, you can see Mr. Hardcore in the background of the movie, sitting in the audience there. We were all over that movie. Like GWC, we knew Tyler, the director. We knew all those guys, and we were involved in that movie. But I met Mick Foley there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really liked our stuff, and that made it for me. Mick Foley, guys like, and see, they don't the pro wrestlers. You hear the indie wrestlers. A lot of the indie wrestlers in certain promotions trash backyard wrestling, but come on, man. Like you guys, a lot of the guys, I know a lot of indie wrestlers that were out there with me. You know what I mean? That were out,
Yeah.
you know, and then some of the guys on TV. I mean, the Hardy Boys were yarders. Seth Rollins was a yarder. It's even in
Yep.
his DVD. He shows his promotion. CM Punk went in detail about his backyard wrestling promotion.
Yeah.
He showed all of it. They're backyarders. They're like us. You know what I mean? They
Yeah, all day, and I
they just
will be till the day I freaking die.
yeah
You
they
know,
just
we got a couple of comments I'm going to go through real quick,
sure.
and then we'll get ready to wrap it up. But I'm going to ask you another question or two because I'm curious to know. But real fast, we got James Marshall said, "I work on the fly majority of my matches, and some people I work with kind of get that. Besides following a big script." So there's that. Craven Rage says he agrees. And he said WCE got their ring for $300, but have invested over 10,000 into it.
Yeah, like the thing is secondhand, like if you get a ring secondhand, sometimes you can score a price like that. Like if you I don't know how they got one for 300. That's one of the lowest that's a record right there for getting a wrestling ring. That's
That
neat
is
because like
that is, and their ring actually looks pretty decent.
it looks
But maybe
good.
they, I don't know, but
I've seen I've seen wrestling rings made out of all kind of material.
Yeah.
I've seen one made out of completely out of bamboo, you know, and I've seen
Wow,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
What they use for the ropes?
They bungee, yeah, like and here's the thing, I've seen even when I review soft ground, they just tied some ropes around some sticks and they do it on in Africa and in Uganda. They're wrestling
I've
on
watched
ground.
some of that stuff. That stuff's freaking crazy. They're taking straight up bumps the way they are, and I'm just like, hell yeah! Now this is entertaining, you
They're,
know?
they're like one of the best I've seen. They're fantastic. Like
Mhm.
they're on a whole nother level. Like fantastic stuff from Bumbash, the creator, who's the producer of that show. But yeah, it's fantastic. And
I want to go over there just to compete with one of
I want.
them.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. What's it called? Yeah, they had a guy from Glee show up. They had a Japanese wrestler show up there. I mean, God, I want to go there now too. You know,
Dude, shoot, maybe we should fly together. Hell
yeah.
yeah, let's do
Check,
it.
Check was there. Yeah, it was Check. Yeah,
Yeah,
Check showed up there, and I was yeah, man. Back wrestling rings. The lowest I've heard of is maybe $1,100. But I
wow.
know within the group of GWC, we traded amongst ourselves. Like somebody cut somebody $700, but that was within the group. We already own the ring, but you know, it's yeah. I mean, that's a record. $300.
Maintaining a ring can be a hassle, especially convincing people to help rotate the beams to prevent
Oh,
bending. Yeah, understandable. James, have you ever took a Canadian destroyer? That's a move I vowed I never take. So everybody kind of has their limits and stuff. I've never taken one. Would I? Probably not, because one of my no-go moves on me, I did do it back in the day, and I've had it done back in the day. But it took one guy to screw it up and almost break my neck. Thankfully, I'm good. Didn't bruise my spinal cord or nothing. But I will not take a pile driver, at least unless I absolutely 140,000% trust you, and you've never hurt nobody. I will. I'm not. Pile driver is a no go for me.
yeah, I've taken Canadian destroyers. I've taken plenty of them. It's all in just it's all you when you do that. It's all you.
Yeah.
Just have to have enough spring. You have to have some strong legs, and you just have to make sure you protect yourself on the way down. Make sure you post correctly. And
Yep.
yeah, and I've taken pile drivers. I've given pile drivers.
Same.
I don't do them later in my career. I didn't do them as much. I've mostly focused on just hitting brain busters and
Yeah.
half Nelson suplexes, stuff like that. I never was like the pile driver for me is a special thing. I don't really feel that it needs to be done as much, but if you do it, it needs to be celebrated. It needs to be done rarely. Yeah,
Yeah.
very rarely. Because
That's a very yeah exactly. It's a
that,
very rarely type
that
move.
that is if you don't realize how dangerous that thing is, man. It's uh
Let's see. He asked that, then Craven said, "I agree with Mr. Marshall and also Mr. Marshall. I will definitely be coming after you." Since okay, so it looks like they're going at it just a little bit, talking trash to each
uh,
other. Taff White Devil Taylor. Okay, so never heard of that. And then Soldier GP jumping in here. What's up, guys? How's it going tonight?
yo.
So, Soldier GP, how's it going, man? We're just talking some old school backyard wrestling. I had to move a little bit because my phone's actually going dead, so I just put it on the charger. We'll finish this broadcast while we talk a little bit more with the Copper Dragon and Mr. California Kid. I actually got a question for you, and that is, when was are you wrestling active today in the later part of your career? Kind of like my last match was last June, and I plan on wrestling some more this year. What about you? Are you still kind of active or looking for another match, or are you officially retired?
No, I'm not. I've never officially retired. I've been inactive for the last like 4 or 5 years. I would say that I'm still in good condition, but I would say that I'm looking to kind of do my last round of matches at some point when I get back over there where you guys are.
Yeah,
I'll probably if I get a. It just depends on where my career goes professionally. Like if I get a certain job I want, like I'll probably start a retirement tour, head back over that way, and kind of hit y'all up and see if y'all want to go ahead and run some retirement match. I know the person at the top of that list is going to be none other than John Forge because I've been promising him I'd give him a match. But like I said, I'd like to tie it up with some of you guys just to go ahead and wrap up things. I've always dream matches. I've always wanted to face off against Rad Hazard. I've always wanted to match against, like I don't mind going to take on someone like Atomic Titan. He's gotten better. I've watched him over the years. He's gotten so much better. Or taking on any of these guys, for a retirement tour. Hey man, you and me can put one on, whatever. I'm down, but
What would you think of a match with me? That
I,
would be pretty cool.
we kill it. Like I said, I can sell the stunner like nobody's business.
That'd be awesome. And I've been thinking about doing like that in the backyard world myself, a little bit of a retirement tour type thing. That'd be cool because I'm actually going to be going indie, believe it or not. So
That's good.
very soon.
Like I said, I tell people this all the time. There's a lot of people that it's nothing wrong with going independent after you've done a good career in backyard wrestling. I think backyard wrestling is the ultimate. I always call it the primordial soup of the business that no one talks about, but it is like we're the soil that everything grows from, man. We're like if you can survive in backyard wrestling, if you thrive in backyard wrestling, you have the passion to be a pro wrestler. Like if you're willing to go out there and do it for nothing on dirt, landing, like going out there wrestling, getting staph infections and all that shit. If you're willing to go through all that, you love pro wrestling and you're more than just a fan. And if you go independent, like I tell people all the time, like, make sure you train thoroughly, obey the trainers. I've met plenty. I'm friends with a lot of them. And just make it happen. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. Fred Yehi did this and he was very successful at it. And I'll say this about Fred Yehi, he's one of the best wrestlers living today. I think I'll argue that. I'll take anyone to task with that. Like all the guys you see on TV, and it's sad because he doesn't get the appreciation he deserves, like as a backyarder or a pro. Like Fred Yehi is probably the best of both worlds. Like, I mean, he was beating Gunther before Gunther got this. Man, you can look up matches. Fred Yehi used to run. If you go, I could go today, and I will eventually, because in the coming months, whenever they get over my way, I have an invitation. You guys, I'm gonna do some TikTok videos for you guys too. I will go to AEW and I will mention the name of Fred Yehi and everyone will quiver in fear. You watch.
Oh, yeah.
He was the one that used to work them all to the bone. Oh my God. He used to grind them back in Georgia. I know all the guys. I can go to the WWE locker room and just walk through there and I can just look at people and they know who my friend is.
You say that name, they're gonna start quivering in their boots, man.
They know who the best is. They know who the best in the world is. And I have no shame in saying that he's the best, because he was and still is. And I hope everybody will take time to look up Fred Yehi's body of work. It is vast. It is vast, both in yard and pro. It is vast. It's some of the every match. He is never. There is no bad Fred Yehi matches. I say that with confidence. There are no bad Fred Yehi matches.
Damn.
It's ridiculous.
That'd be definitely something everybody should definitely look up. Copper Dragon, come on over to IMF. Soldier GP says.
Yeah, I tell you, I would love to be an IMF. That's one person I love to have a match with. Soldier GP, definitely want to get one in with him. A lot of you guys, I'm definitely going to be hitting up. Like I said, when I get back over that way, I'm going to come around. Love to be a part of the show. Definitely a tour is needed by me. That's something I'd love to do.
Kevin Rage said Copper Dragon versus James Taylor.
It's guaranteed classic because I mean, goodness, we're gonna get there, relax. We're gonna tie up. We're gonna beat up. Like it's gonna be awesome.
I'll sell my ass off for you. I'll let you beat the shit out of me. I'd have fun.
Here, we're gonna beat the shit out of each other. It's gonna be great. Everybody's gonna love it.
Steve Money, when are you coming back to IMF? And then he said, whenever. And he goes, anytime, Copper, I'll go one-on-one with you.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah, like I said, but with me, you ain't going to have time to sit down and take a break in the audience.
And that's what I try to tell him. He ain't going to have time to just sit there.
No. Look, I tasked Soldier GP to look up a match between me and Eric Dees, the first match. California Kid versus Eric Dees, GWC Intensity. Look at that match. He got normally in Eric Dees matches, he has time because he's wrestling death matches. But with me, there was no time, man. I'm on you. I'm on you.
Fast and went strong. Yeah.
I'm on you.
That's how I like to do it. But after taking a break, like what I've done, it might be, you said about 4 or 5 years since you've last been in the ring. That ring rust is no joke, man. You got to knock that ring rust off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I did it, I have to admit, like my first time back in the ring after a while, I had that match with Jay Wild at Vendetta, not the one at Anniversary, which I don't know if you've seen that one yet, but it was just the straight 1-on-1. There was a lot of pacing in that because my ring rust was bad and I blew up. But we got through the match regardless, and it was still great. But the second match where we did it at Anniversary last year, the last match I had in TBW, that match was a whole lot better. So,
And I
but
tell people, like, when you blow up, like, go for holds, man. Like, go for those rest holds, man. Like, people be trying to keep the fire going. If it ain't there, bro, just go for the rest hold. Because when you don't take those rest holds, that's when botches start happening.
I know, I know.
When the botches,
So, yeah, you don't want the botches. I mean, because then everybody's just going to point out that and not the entire match.
yeah,
So, since we're going to get ready to wrap it up, let's leave off with a few things. Number one, you talked about maybe a possible retirement tour. That's the first time anybody's heard it, and that's gotten a lot of people, I'm sure, excited about that. Would you take on a guy like old CJ Black?
I would love to take on CJ Black. I think I would. He would be one of the last people I'd face because like you said, ring rust. I need to knock a lot off of myself, and yeah, before I get in there and dance with at that level, bro. Like I need to knock off some rust, bro. Because like,
There you
yeah,
go.
I mean, I can work a top wrist lock transition to a hammerlock any day and things like that, but getting that rhythm and that good footing, I need some time to work off the rust, man. But yeah, I'll get in there with CJ Black if CJ Black's ready to get in there with me. You know,
Oh, there
when
you go.
when you step in the ring with the Copper Dragon, you're stepping into a place where pain is a promise and suffering is a guarantee. I mean, it's gonna be bad. Yeah, CJ Black has never taken the kind of impacts that I would dish out.
I
Which,
don't think he probably might not be ready for that. He's going to have to do some homework before he
yeah,
does that.
Old Testament, CJ, Old Testament, real Old Testament. Like,
Have you seen a guy by the name of Anthony Steele?
I have not seen a lot of Anthony Steele's work. I've heard of him. I need to watch some Anthony Steele.
I got something perfect for you, and I'm going to send you my match with Anthony Steele,
Please
and
do.
because I've had one, and then that way you can see how he is, and see. We had two matches. We're waiting for the rubber match. I got one. He got one. I wrestled him the first time under his rules, street fight rules. So you got to see a lot of the Old Testament that I brought back against the younger lion, and then we did a one-on-one straight singles match, and we did that one, and that one was pretty good. So now we're waiting for the rubber match, and we're thinking the third one's going to be the best. But I will send you that match, one of those two matches, and let you check. That way you can see how
Hey,
Anthony performs.
I'll go through them.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna do those. Yeah, just send me that link. I got you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Do you think we might be able to sometime in the future get you to come back on the Nemesis Sessions? Because I got a few backyard wrestlers that would love to meet you in person and just conversate with you like me and you are right now.
Yeah, oh man, yeah, I have no problem, man. We'll meet up like this again, and we'll do another session.
Hell yeah, definitely. Because you're more than welcome to come here. Is there anything that you'd like to say, get off your chest, maybe something else that you haven't talked about yet? The floor is yours. I'm gonna let you do anything, say anything that you want to say before we wrap it up here. And there you go. So the floor is yours, Mr. Copper Dragon.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me here on your Nemesis Sessions. I love this show.
Thank
I,
you.
I want to throw some shout outs to all the guys in GWC. Definitely, your everybody, Melvin Bell, Casey Kincaid, all the boys, Vega, the future Jermaine Hardwick, all those guys. If I didn't name yeah, Blasian Fury, Mr. Hardcore, Chris Higgins, all my boys, you know. But I also wanted to, let everybody know that, your backyard wrestling promotion, that's like a family to you, man. It's a backyard wrestling is a spiritual practice, and I don't think a lot of us understand that. It's something that's very special to us, and it's something that you have to realize where you are in terms of being a wrestling fan. Like your body of work is so important. Every match you wrestle is important. You never want to go out there and just run through the motions. There's no such thing as just a throwaway match or a job match in backyard wrestling. Every bit of your work matters. And I want everybody to keep that in mind going forward. If you want to score the 7-star match and kind of unseat CJ, I mean, you can do it. You can do it if you commit yourself and you commit yourself to your craft. You can do that. I hope he inspires people to do that. But yeah, I love all you guys. Watch backyard wrestling. Learn your history.
Yeah.
Learn your backyard wrestling history. Take care of your finances, and if you ever want to, if you don't know what to do, just message me. We can talk about finances. I will help you. I have no problem helping people that, because backyard wrestling is a real poverty game. I know it oh too well. There's a lot of it, and people struggle trying to get a car to go to these events, and people have transportation issues. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Just yeah, I'm here for that. Any kind of advice on that, I'm willing to give. I'm soon to be a licensed securities advisor, so I can do life insurance, whatever you guys want. Whatever you guys
Yeah.
set up. But yeah, take care of you guys selves. Respect all backyard wrestling: ground, trampoline, ring, swimming pool, basement. I don't care. It's all backyard wrestling. It's all part of the art, and you guys, and it's all part of the sport. It's a performance art, and it's a sport, and it's a lifestyle, not a hobby. So keep that in mind. And I thank all of you. And yeah, I'll hopefully be back and we can cover more.
Oh
I
yes.
talk about a lot more on here. There's a lot of things that there's a lot we can talk about, a lot we can
Oh,
cover.
good.
But yeah, shouts out to everybody. And if I didn't mention you, please forgive me. But yeah, definitely check out the guys. Check out ROEW. Check out WCE. Check out DKW. Check out IMF. Check out all these guys. These guys are really pushing the game, and really fighting, and everything. Those are a lot of these guys, and yeah, SGW, all these guys. So yeah.
CJ Black says, "Don't listen to this guy. You can't do it. Only I can do it." He's talking about the 7-star rating. Hey, I think I did pretty good, Mr. CJ Black, for a guy who just did like 5 or 6 moves in that one match, and I got a 6.2. So kiss, hey, Moon Bunny says, "Hey," and says, "Can we see Tiny Rhea Ripley?" And what she's meaning by that is, yes, I have a tiny Rhea Ripley, and this is
Oh, nice.
her right here. Hello, tiny Rhea Ripley. Because she's got the black lipstick. See the black lipstick? So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming by and checking out the Nemesis Sessions. You can definitely catch the Copper Dragon on Instagram or TikTok at the Copper Dragon. And if you got any matches that you want to have reviewed, just DM this guy. He might be able to get to you. He's a very busy guy. I'm sure he's watching hundreds and hundreds of matches every single day. So, right? I mean, that's basically it.
Always reviewing. It takes time, guys. I have to. I'm thorough, and they know it. I tear into them. They know it.
Oh yeah. But if you're okay with not politics, but if you're okay with ratings and being critiqued on your type of wrestling, definitely check him out because he will definitely take care of you on that one. And yeah, he's a good guy, and I can vouch for it. And I really do appreciate you coming on here, and I'd love to have you back on again. I don't care if it's tomorrow or a week from now, whenever you want to come back on, you let me know because I want to work around your schedule. But I'm sure I have a few guys that's going to be messaging me asking me, "Hey, can I get on there and talk with them?" Well, sure. I want to give a plug out to Tom Bryce and the Sports Wire Radio. Do you know about him?
Yeah, Tom. Yeah, I followed him. I think on we follow each other. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I got him.
He's a guy. He's bringing up the hashtag about how all wrestling matters, and that we agree with. But he's a guy that if you feel like you should go on to his show as well, and you can talk all this stuff with him. And
Yeah.
he does his interviews a little bit different than me. We talk about it all the time, but as a guy, I recommend that you could go onto his show as well. I'm sure he'd be more than willing to reach out to you, or you could reach out to him and get your name more out there. I'm going to plug Copper Dragon's social medias down in the description below, so anybody watching this in the future can check him out later, so you have a direct link to go to him. Mr. California Kid, I am the Nemesis James Taylor, or Taft Taylor. Is there any last words you got before we let everybody go today? You good?
BYW for life. B-
BYW for life.
BYW for life.
You're
Yep.
damn right. Hell yeah. Old Testament right here. If
Testament.
anybody in the new world wants to know some more stuff about the old guys, the backyard legends like us that helped pave the way, definitely reach out. And until next time, me and the Copper Dragon are out, and we'll catch you down the road. And then we are.